Kamruviskanavaya Charanarvinda Bhaktavedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Granatharaj Shrimadbhagavatam ki Their most merciful Lordship Shri Harikunjavian ki Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Maya Subhadra ki Shri Nathaji Shri Gopal ki Shri Samanitari ki Jai Guru Haribo Praise to the assembled praise to the assembled praise to the assembled praise the Lord Spirit of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Bring them both because sometimes one doesn't work, the other one's better. Yeah. There's only one? Oh, that's all right. The other one's over there at Bhagavatam. That's the one I was using. Yes, right. But either one, but better at both. This one works nowadays. Thank you very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamadiraye Nasta Praishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtiki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 28. Is that right? John. Itam Sarat Pravrisika Ritu Hare 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 Vishnavatu Me Nusavam Yaso Mavam Vishrinvato 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 Me Nusavam Yaso Mavam Sankityam Manam Munibir Mahatmabir Sankirtyam Manam Munibir Mahatmabir Sankirtyatmanam Munibir Mahatmabir Bhakti Pravritatma Rajas Tamopa 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 Itam Sarat Pravrisika Vritu Hare Vishnavato Mena Savam Yaso Malam Rasika Vritu Hare
Vishvinvato me anusavam yasumalam
Vishvinvato me Nushavam Yasomalam
Sankirtyamana munivir mahatmabhir
Sankirtyamana Munivir Mahatmabhir
Bhakti pavitatma rajastamopaha
Bhakti Pravitatma Rajastamopaha
Ittam sarat praveshika vitu hare
Itam Sarat Pravasika Vritu Hare
Visranvato menu savam yashumalam
Vishvinvato me Nushavam Yasomalam
Sankirtyamanam munibhir mahatmavir
Sankirtyamanam Munivir Mahatmabhir
Bhakti pravitatma rajatas tamopaha
Bhakti Pravitatma Rajastamopaha Itam
Itam
Thus Sarat Autumn Pravisaka Rainy season Ritu Two seasons Hare of the Lord Vishvinvata continuously hearing me myself Anushavam constantly Yasalam unadulterated glory Sankirtyamanam chanted by Munivi the great sages Mahatmavi great souls Bhakti devotional service Pravrita began to flow Atma living being Raja mode of passion Tama mode of ignorance Upaha vanishing Itam Saraprarishika Vritu Hare Vishvinvato me Nusavam Yasomalam Sankirtyamanam Munibir Mahatmabhir Bhakti Pravitatma Rajastamopaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhai Jayanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Thus, during two rainy seasons, the rainy season and autumn, I had the opportunity to hear these great-souled sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. Please repeat. Thus during two seasons, the rainy season and autumn, I had the opportunity to hear these great soul sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the covering of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. Thus, during two seasons, the rainy season and autumn, I had the opportunity to hear these great souled sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. Purport by His Divine Grace Abhai Jayanavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Transcendental loving service for the Supreme Lord is the natural inclination of every living being. The instinct instinct is dormant in everyone, but due to the association of material nature, the modes of passion and ignorance cover this from time immemorial. If, by the grace of the Lord and the great soul devotees of the Lord, a living being becomes fortunate enough to associate with the unadulterated devotees of the Lord and gets a chance to hear the unadulterated glories of the Lord, certainly the flow of devotional service takes place like the flow of a river. As the river flows on till she reaches the sea, similarly, pure devotional service flows by the association of pure devotees till it reaches the ultimate goal, namely, transcendental love of God. Such a flow of devotional service cannot stop. On the contrary, it increases more and more without limitation. The flow of the devotional service is so potent that any onlooker also becomes liberated from the influence of the modes of passion and ignorance. These two qualities of nature are thus removed, and the living being is liberated, being situated in their original position. Om Jnana When I first came, first Sunday I had the opportunity to see devotees all working together, cutting up, preparing food. Of course, I'd worked in restaurants before, but somehow these people, it seemed they were working together for a cause that was higher than restaurant work would normally be, because people are there working with the hope of some gain materially out of their work. But these people, they weren't working for that reason. They were working out of a love for the Supreme Person and a love for the people that were going to come on Sunday. And I saw, and all I can say honestly, now I've been here about, 83, I think 42 years. In those 42 years, with the exception of one event that took place a few Sundays back, I've never seen devotees in big, heavy arguments. And this is what you can see, the removal of the modes of passion and ignorance, which is the cause of the experience of peacefulness and happiness. And it's the devotional service that devotees engage in together with each other that enable them to share that together and experience that together. And here, Narad Muni is pointing out those activities free the soul. I have a problem with these microphones sometimes. They free the soul from the modes and the control that would otherwise be causing them to be accumulating karma, as we've been talking. So Narad here, giving some further background of his own experience with bhakti, to share with Vedavyas how meaningful it was to him to at first time be exposed to this bhakti. So now I could engage in this activity and think of it as a normal activity. but people coming for the first time, again, they see that devotees working together and working at an activity for the benefit of others. When you cut up for helping for the Sunday feast, you know it's not for yourself you're doing this for, right? And this is what bhakti is. It's the outgoing of love that, as explained here, is the natural inclination. And two, as we develop talents in the world, and for the most part, we do that with the hopes of somehow benefiting ourselves. But see, if we look at Krishna consciousness as what we want to devote our lives to, then we have to take the attitude that I am dedicating my life for the sake of others. Kind of like a marriage. When you get married, life is no longer do what you want for yourself. Do whatever you want. But when we surrender our desires to the higher, when we surrender our will to the higher cause for all, automatically then we come to realize that wanting to give ourselves to a higher cause and as a form of giving is the easiest way to experience love. Because it is that giving that love is. The nature of love as brought out here the same way the nature of the soul is to want to give. So we develop these abilities. As a young child, we see it, they want to show off, right? They have learned something new, so they're going to do a little dance, or they might sing a little song or something. And we see that as cute. But it's as is pointed out here, it's the part of the soul that wants to give of itself, wants to give, and that giving is love. So, the beautiful thing about this Krishna consciousness is, the more people we reach with it, the more people come to the Sunday feast, the more value there is when we chant. The more ears there are to hear the holy names, that many times more is the value increased of the chanting. First day I saw Deva Madhava. You all know Deva Madhava, right?
Yeah, Deva Madhava.
He came here, and I don't know, Jushu was here. There might have been 3 or 4 other devotees, right, at the kirtan. And so, a devotee comes and maybe not fully realizing the first few times he comes that you're dancing in the very presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. Right? So, but I told him, I said, even though we are dancing right here in the very presence of the Supreme Person, your presence, and I'm now meaning everyone that's here in this place, makes it all that much more glorious. So every soul that is enhanced with hearing the holy names of Krishna, Krishna Katha that we share with one another, study of Bhagavatam together, taking a pushana we're going to have in a few minutes. This is all the natural inclination as well that the soul has. When we share a meal together, generally when we're brought up in, the society, we do that with our family, isn't it? It's like the most intimate kind of thing we have with a family, sharing the meal. And most families try to do that 3 times a day, but they're all association. Devotees are sharing who would normally otherwise have been out doing their own thing. Now, they're sharing love with one another. This meal has been prepared, this food stuff has been prepared with love. Krishna, the source of all love, which we are evidence of, he glances upon it lovingly. Then it's also handled with proper etiquette, placed on plates, and then served out to the general public, again with love. And then we as devotees share and experience and appreciate the value of this. You know, out in the world there's an appreciation for food, mostly inclined towards what it tastes like. But there's not the concept of the fact that this food itself, the same way our association with each other, has the ability to liberate us from the modes, as spoken here, of ignorance and passion. This prasadam does that as well. And that's a great secret in Krishna consciousness that we don't see being promoted. And if the distribution of foodstuffs is being very much promoted by other organizations, I see none of them understanding the principle or concept of that food necessarily by necessity to offer it to God. And so, even in that pursuit of what should be for the benefit of others, just more entangles them in karmic reactions. Every form of life they are putting on the plate is giving up its life. And they are taking forms of life that have family. So we talk about our experience as family being the most intimate way for us to experience love with one another as a family. Then we don't think of bringing harm to one another. And yet, at every meal, an environment created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead for another form of life to be able to make advancement has been given the experience of family, be it a chicken, a turkey, a duck, and now they're eating pigs and cows.
And rats.
Yeah, and all these forms of life are put into those situations to experience family. Now, even though our experience of family gives us transcendence, their experience of family not giving transcendence nevertheless gives them a means of progression. And it doesn't necessarily always go forward, but forward and back is still ultimately to the end goal, back to God. Built in the species of life is a progress. But when that progress is interrupted, the interrupter has to take the responsibility for the interruption they have caused. So this is how then human beings can trade places with lower forms of life. They become dependent upon lower forms of life for their existence, which all life is. And this is how they're trading lives themselves. The mouse changes with the cat. The cat, by thinking of the mouse when he leaves his body, becomes the mouse. The mouse, fearing the cat when he's thinking about the cat, when he leaves the body, he becomes the cat. It's like a cycle. Then the cat gets afraid of the human being. It says the tiger take the form of a human being. It is by the thought, Krishna says that we are, by the thoughts it is the energy, the thoughts we're having reveals the energy the soul is involved with at the time. So if that thought is involved on things centered around the eternal Supreme Person, the eternal soul, and its relationship to the eternal divine person from whom it came, then that will be the environment. By that thought process, we are in that place. See, this is how we can bring Vrindavan. From Vrindavan, we bring Vrindavan here by consciousness. So your body may be in the world, but if you, as the soul, self-realized, knows the Supreme Lord in your body with you, and bringing consciousness to others of that fact then brings Krishna to them, you bring everything with Krishna to them as well. So Srila Prabhupada brought on that Jaladuta journey to the United States in 1965, he brought the whole demigod kingdom with him. He brought the whole everybody. But when you bring Krishna, you bring all his paraphernalia as well. And all these demigods are under his control. And then I was meditating the other day about this fact. I've been realizing about the person Christians are saying is God. And the name, as I found out from reading the book, the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is basically what makes up the New Testament, they call it, right? The word New Testament in itself has the meaning that this was a testament of the person it's about, that these animals didn't have to be slaughtered. And yet, Christians, by their own Savior's revelation, do not take this to heart at all. So this inhumane, unnecessary slaughter of animals that have families, totally unnecessary. They do not know they are responsible for the interruption of those families. Means they are themselves going to be put into a situation of family where they will be themselves interrupted from, not from. How many times in a lifetime, with 3 meals a day as a human being, causing himself to be put into that situation? Think about it. This is how we have been ensnared by the material energy to end up having to be contained within this material energy forever and ever and ever. It's like an endless cycle. The need to eat, to exist, forces us by the eating process to have to, by being indebted to that which gives us life, to give the life which we got back to that which it came from. That's the nature of the laws of karma. But the laws of karma are such, as we can see in the planting of the seed, that it comes back more than just once. So in one lifetime, we may feel as though, well, maybe we owe one life in some way, but no. We're indebted at birth, 33 million demigods, automatically by the birth process we're indebted to. But what civilization is even having that in their vocabularies institutions that they could take part in to express, their appreciation at least, but very little. We have Thanksgiving once a year, and what is that for? The killing of a turkey. And to show how thankful we are that we've got a fat turkey. Basically. And so it's strange what customs, by the falling away and the control of the modes of material energy, human beings end up, because of this nature to celebrate, this nature to show appreciation, is innate as it's being revealed here in the scripture. And Krishna goes further to say even this thing we take on as recreation, even that's built in, naturally inclined for the soul, because Krishna in the spiritual world is engaged in those kinds of activities as well, having fun, eternally, youthfully, not worried about wrinkles, not worried about gray hair, not worried about bone pain and arthritis and lumbago and whatever other names we have for suffering. No thoughts like that even exist in that place, where Krishna himself is, and is making us, through this process, the easy way back, by us singing a simple song. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. What a wonderful way. Who can think of a better way to experience life? And in doing this, we make our whole life a song. Our whole life is a song. When you dedicate your life to Krishna, then your song is singing the melody of the love you have for Krishna. That's what your life is. Your life is a testimony of the love you have for Krishna. That's what your life is. As a devotee now. Not everybody's life is like that, but those that are sure. Because we know what we are, we know what we're made of, we know what Krishna is made of. We know we're limitedly made of the same substance, but we have the unlimited source of everything with us. Married in the body with the same person. How can we say we're not married to God? Sharing the same body. If you read scriptural teachings about what marriage is, you will find that two people become one. And they're manifesting that proof of that through their children and their offspring. And now in science, they look at RNA and DNA as means of being able to determine where the particular person they're looking at came from, because of the connection we have with each other, and that this thing is connected to our past, present, and future. All there by the interaction we have with what Narada Muni is saying we can have freedom from. And what Krishna has said, we can do it by singing a song. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. And have that song sound to him so pleasant that it reminds him of his own flute playing. Wow. So we can just go about the day playing Krishna's flute. We can play Krishna's flute all day long, even if we want, as devotees. So what more glorious eventful way of experience recreation. So you're out in the streets singing and dancing up a storm. Last time we went to this fair, you know, with spring coming up. This is a season, actually. Narayana's talking about after the rainy season. But see, it's not rainy here, so we can go out and preach. This is the most favorable time for preaching in springtime, summertime, and then we're out there singing and dancing. And, you know, singing and dancing is what most people look at for entertainment. But getting the general public to realize that that's all God asks us of us. And to be happy, to know what we are, to know what we're made of, so that by experiencing it, we can experience the Supreme Lord Himself. We experience the substance of the soul. And that gives us the taste of realizing what it is to know Krishna. Because if we can understand the eternalness of the self that we are, and we can know that that is just a little tiny drop of what Krishna is. Wow. And as we see, just imagine every glorious experience of happiness we've ever had in our entire life, right? Take that every single momentary pleasure we've had in this world and then stack it all together in one big long, maybe hour or two. Krishna can take all that and pack it into an eternal moment that lasts for an eternity. That's what Vaikuntha is going to be. More than we can imagine. All the happiness we've had in this world combined all into one spot, if that's able for you to conceive of. And Vaikuntha, the experience, getting there, being there, living there, singing there. That's good. Every moment of that eternal experience with Krishna is going to be more than all of this happiness combined we've ever had. Yeah. And that's the simple process of chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Krishna gave me a touchstone, actually. In this society, what would be considered a touchstone is something that provides an abundance of money every day by itself. You don't have to do anything for it. That's what a touchstone does. The touchstone produces gold. So in effect, this thing doesn't produce gold. So in effect, it's almost better than a touchstone. And I've been trying to give it away to devotees. Nobody wants it. So this tells me devotees also consider Krishna as everything they need. Knowing Krishna. Seems to be the common consensus amongst devotees is, I know Krishna, I have Krishna, I have everything I want, I have everything I need. And it's just a fact. To be brought to this state of self-realization brings us to that point of realization that Krishna, He is everything we have ever hoped, longed, wanted, wished, prayed for, longed for, desired. Yeah. And we have Him. And we have reason to be expressing our thankfulness for everything He's given to us and every way He's made, every door He's opened for us to be here right now in this room, to be hearing these words of Narayana. One of the oldest souls in the whole universe, Narayana, we're being able to read His very words of wisdom. Wisdom is that knowledge that outlasts all the other lives that human beings create with their imagination. And And so that's how scriptures retain their existence. But even the appreciation human beings carry sometimes bring it to the point of non-existence. These scriptures don't come to human beings without cause. Right? If you deny God, there comes a point when He's not forcing us to take part in all these activities that give us freedom from control as we have become slaves to our own physical desires and our own bodies. And He's showing us the means to become free. If we reject and we try to think something else is better to do, He's just not going to force us. You don't have to do devotional service. And for what we, in our minds, value as what is pleasure, what is happiness, we might convince ourselves that we can find it in the material world. So we have to be very careful. Which also, it looks to me as though, because when I offer this, it's like a touchstone. AI generated money that produces money every day. Whatever you want to use it for, you use it for. Gold is hard to use. Not only that, but in this day and age, gold is inhabited by Kali. Kali, the incarnation of sin. That's who Kali is. Kali is the one who the Christians call the devil. But he is confined, not out of control, able to, well, he has big influence on people's minds. See, and that's the problem with breaking Ekadasi. The same way with eating food, which we say, this prasadam gives us transcendental experience. The person who eats the dead flesh of a living entity gets the consciousness of the preparer, gets the consciousness of the slaughterer, gets the consciousness of the person transporting that, the indebtedness they have, all of them, to the life that they took from the soul that is having family. But we don't evaluate that as human beings as important to us for the pig to have family, or for the cockroach to have family, or for the bee. You look at bees, you could conclude that this is a form of life which is being purified of its own false ego as compared to the wasp, because the bee doesn't live for itself. It's living for the hive. It's living for the queen, in fact, because they bring her, they eat on the way, they get their own food, sustenance, while they're finding the food, but they're storing the pollen, they don't eat the pollen. That's all for the queen. And so this sense of working together, and you won't see these bees flying off by themselves or anything like that, they all work in the hive. Then you have these other bees, wasps, hornets, and they all work for themselves. And they have their little mud-daubing abilities to create one little tiny hole that they live in for themselves. So in all of these creatures, see, as well, the scriptures bring out these ancient, wise teachings, which have lasted for thousands and thousands of years, point out that all of these forms of life reveal various aspects the soul is manifesting for us to take instruction from. Like the obedience of a dog to his master, the faithfulness of a dog to his master, and you will see how easily satisfied a dog is with just a little scrap. The dog starts wagging his tail, and boy, I mean, he's just so happy that, So we take examples from all these creatures, even though they're lower forms of life. The fact that they are souls means that they are able to exhibit abilities, in many cases, above and beyond what human beings in these forms that we are taking are able to manifest. Mind reading, flying, telecommunication. And you can see these young animals teaching their young. Remember, they have no hands, some of them, especially if they only have 2 feet. And they have no hands whatsoever. And so they are in a predicament, forced to live in this form and not knowing there is any better, not knowing of anything else, if they have any means of getting out of that body. They have no form of recreation, but their whole life, they don't have to pay taxes either. But they are living for themselves, they're living for their pleasures, and their family is also part of the makeup of the false ego. It's my family. And you can see them fighting. The lion will fight for his wives, to protect his wives, and to own his wives by the life. If a horse approaches another male, if a male horse approaches another male horse for the service that he would believe he's getting from a female, they will fight to the death. Stallions will fight to the death, improving each other's strength and ability. So this is an age, and then you look on the battlefield, human beings, same way. They have this desire to manifest their supreme abilities and strength. All in a sense trying to imitate Krishna. And see, this is going on also in the spiritual world. But they're engaging in it like a play. So they engage in acts, reenacting things Krishna has done. In effect, they're all doing that in the world. They don't know it. So they're doing it in ignorance. When they could be getting the same benefit that we are getting as devotees by aiming their energies towards Krishna. And it doesn't take much. So Prabhupada said, if you give 1 penny toward this cause, you'll get a human birth. Wow. You want to buy a body? 1 penny, please. And we'll put it in the pot that goes towards buying Krishna some flowers. Or that buys some Buddha. Be transformed into that spiritual energy of God Himself, the Supreme Person Himself. There is no other more supreme than the Supreme Person, Krishna. Introducing. Every day we can be introduced. And that's what the chanting does, giving us a new, fuller realization of who Krishna is and how intimate this relationship we can have with Him is also. It is getting time to end class. I've got 5 minutes left open for anyone. Mother Mohini, any questions?
Sir, are you saying we shouldn't give books? We should insist that they give us a penny or something?
Yeah, well, that's true. We do have, if they're just taking books, they're not going to value the book as much as they will if they had to give something for it.
It's not that, all right. You
But-
said they won't get a human body.
Oh, that's a good point. If they don't give anything, well, the factor of what they're getting in their next life is not only determined by one act of giving a penny. So we have to take into consideration the whole thing. But to deliver souls, as Narada Muni is bringing out here, from the clutches of the eternal, at least as long as the universe lasts, clutches of Maya. So that the value of that is so valuable. Srila Prabhupada is saying that even to give a penny towards that cause, it's so valuable to Krishna that he'll give you a human birth for that. See, every bit of this that we give to others, we don't know to what extent we can help them. More than a doctor can give you an operation on your physical heart, the transcendental messenger Krishna can give you. Donate it, Dr. Donate it. Self-realization gives you the knowledge of the eternal body that we are, which we are anyways, but knowledge of it will only give us the experience of the reality of it, as well as engaging in the bhakti, or the energy of Krishna's energy.
Can I add?
Yeah.
Way back in the day, Termikesh was distributing books, and she gave this lady a book. The woman gave her money and dropped dead.
Dropped the book.
Dropped dead. She dropped dead.
Oh, she dropped dead.
Oh, wow.
So fortunate. See, that was her last step necessary. Last act necessary. And then boom.
She left the body.
So I would see what they say about meetings that nobody else is able to hear. I'd like to be a fly on. I'd like to be a super soul inside her mind and know what's going through her mind at that moment, you know. Because, see, I did that with a couple as well at the football game. Now, I handed them a sticker, and we have a line to make them let people laugh. I saw you here with your girlfriend, you know, they're both like 80 years old, they're in their 80s at least. His eyes are so bloodshot, look like he got burned or something in his eye. And I'm explaining, I'm going through every line I have, and it looks like they're not responding at all, you know. And the window's open about this far. And I knew they could hear me, and they're both like talking to each other. I don't know if they're talking about the football game or what. And then he reaches over, opens the glove box, and pulls out a roll of bills about this thick, like that, 20s, 50, and he hands it to me. $383. Our ad was $383 for a 1 cent sticker. And Krishna had empowered him, probably his last football with his wife, and they knew it. And I don't know, they had that money waiting for some cause. I don't know, Krishna didn't realize. I told Arjuna, I said, wow, they gave me $383. And almost didn't do anything else the whole rest of the day, just thinking that was possible. You know, I didn't stop talking about it for days after that. And these are experiences, you know, that you can see people will have a greater realization than you yourself are having. So you can come up in contact with an ancient soul that you don't know will be breathing their last right after you tell them who Krishna is. That's what she did. I feel like, remember Radharaman, we were in his room, and you told me he left his body. And I still remember the words I said about Shrimadbhagavatam. I said, there is no other love like hers that can be found.
That was the next morning, right?
From when?
You mean when it passed?
You were right around my left. That was the next morning?
From
From the night that we were all there. You know, when all the
I don't know when you were all there.
Remember we went there?
I went in the morning. I went in. I think it was almost towards noon.
Oh, so it was the next day.
Next day.
Yeah.
Adi Raj came in like 1 minute after he left, wasn't it?
And I think Dominicus came in.
Oh, she was also late. Oh, no.
She was trying to get
Yeah.
But
And
she was looking
his
at
daughter was right there next to him.
Who? His daughter?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
His daughter was right there.
And Krishna Shakti had a sonogram,
Yeah.
which guarantees what? Going back to God.
Wow.
And she had it on his head.
Krishna. You just see.
And I didn't know I was massaging his hair. Dominicus said we would probably try to guide his spirit to come, go out there.
The Brahmarashram.
How long ago was that?
I'm not sure.
How long
I
ago was that?
think the soul enters through the umbilical cord. I could be wrong. What is that?
How long ago was that? Everybody
You
remember?
remember that one year? 7 or 8 ago, right?
It was strange.
And-
The two of us were there, though.
My mother left at 11. I put her ashes in India in 13, and it was after that, so I'd have been around 15, 16, 17, something like that. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19.
That was the first time I visited.
No, 16. It was. See, even if I go, when I was in Arizona, Dasrath, wonderful soul, he was really strict devotee. It was easy to chant 16 rounds with him because he was pucka, he was staunch, and he would take advice from soothsayers and astrologers. You run into different preachers who he would take advice from. So one guy told him, he said, you want to know if something is true or not, you make the statement and hold your fingers together like this. If you can't pull them apart, it's true. And if they fail, it's a lie.
Okay.
I don't know. I never tried it, but it worked. He claimed it worked for him. See, Yudhisthira, all these are like sensitivities that the soul, by having been familiar with the material energy for eons and eons and eons, each of us, we gain little familiarities with things. We use the material energy in this way and that way. One gathers food this way, one uses scissors, one uses clippers, so many different patterns we have in our life with our manipulation of material energy. So that's how we are all different. And for a constitution to say all men are created equal,
Okay.
totally misunderstanding the reality of the fact that no two people are exactly alike. And you know how many billions and billions and billions of universes there are, and yet there are not two souls exactly alike. So that's Krishna, and all of these souls manifesting various aspects by simply the involvement with 3 modes. You realize that? See, in the same way, 3 colors, right, make up every other aspect of bringing the colors we have the ability to see, all coming from 3. Same way, modes of material energy, goodness, passion, and ignorance, form the psyche, you could say, or the life influences of all souls. So we got to follow it. Right, Shrimadbhagavatam.
Jai.
I hope that was